Old Guy here. Today we're going to talk about figuring out what kind of bolts you have. Maybe you got a supply of bolts that are sitting in a jar and you're looking for a particular bolt and you need to know the size and the pitch or the thread of the bolt. And so you're searching through your nuts and bolts, trying to find a replacement for maybe one that got screwed up, the head's bad, got rounded off. But you're trying to determine, first of all, what you have, and then what your replacement is. So we're going to show you how to determine what bolts you have and the pitch they are, the size, the whole bit. And that way you know what you have. So we've got several bolts here today, laid out, different sizes, a few nuts and stuff. And so what we're looking at is determining what size the bolts are and what the thread pitch is. Now, I've had this for a long time. It's SAE and it's metric. This is mostly inch stuff, but it does work. I mean, you can pick up a bolt and you can determine the size. Now, you can also tilt it and look for what the thread pitch is. And in this case, it's 1.25. It's just not easy to read. Okay? So, I got this after that. So I've got an 8 millimeter. And then I come down here, and this is a pitch gauge. Okay? It's SAE on one side and metric on the other. You will never, ever use all these pitch gauges, all right? So what we're trying to determine is, this is a 1.25, so we come over here, and we got a 1.25, and we put it on the bolt, and hopefully you can see that. Bingo, the thread pitch is a 1.25. So now we know this is a 8 millimeter 1.25, all right? What makes something even easier than this is this. This is called a thread checker. And so you take the same bolt, and we're looking for an M8 1.25. All these are labeled, okay? And we're going to put this in here, and it screws in very nicely, all right? We're going to check another one because this one's a little bit dirty. Come from a junkyard, it could be dirty. So we put that in there and it screws in. See how nicely it screws in? The other thing I like about this is it's also a nut checker. So you can take a nut, put it on here, and see if that nut happens to be the same size as your bolt, or if you're just looking for a nut, you need to know the nut size. That works great. Over here we got smaller. So what do we got? Let's see. M7 maybe? Nope, it slides right in, doesn't do anything. So we'll try an M6 1.0. Okay, well, we got lucky because that's the only M6 size I have. So it's an M6 1.0 pitch. Like I said, you can flip it around if you're checking nuts and see if the nut rolls on. This is pretty quick. I like this a little bit more than I like the gauge. Okay, that's not working. So either that's smaller than that. See, look at that. It's a 1.5. It's a M5 by 0.8. That's how you determine when you've got the wrong size. Let's see if I've got a M6. Yep, got an M6. Okay, so that works. Now, I mean, if it comes down to it, you can check with this to verify anything on here. So something a little bigger. These two look pretty close to the same. So what do we got? M9? Nope. M10? Okay, M10. Okay, that starts, but it doesn't go in very far. So that's a 1.0 pitch, so we must have something bigger. 1.25? It's a little tight too. Is it that or is it the bolt? Yep, that stops too. So let's try 1.5. Bingo, 1.5. See how it nicely screws in a long ways? This one here, same thing. M10, 1.5. Now another size up, we got these bolts. 1.25 M12. M12's a pretty fine pitch for that. It looks a little larger. 1.5? Nope, doesn't grow in either. So what do we got? We got an M12 1.75. Bingo, that was it. Now let's see if this nut, which is approximately the same size as this bolt, is the right nut for it. Now, I mean, yeah, you can take this and you can try it. It goes part way on and stops. So we know that's not right. And that was an M10. So let's see. M10 1.5, which is what that bolt was. Nope. M10 1.25. Nope. M10 1.0. Look at that. So it's a real fine thread compared to this bolt. So this nut is not going to work with this bolt. Now I realize this is a nylock bolt, but it still works. It gives you thread. So this determines, even this one over here, that was the wrong size even though it was in with these. It looks the same, but it wasn't. It was an M5. That's the other thing that this doesn't have either. This doesn't go below an M6. Whereas this has an M5, M4, and an M3. And believe it or not, there are some screws that small on my cars. Anyway, this is what I use. Again, thread checker or a pitch gauge, inch, metric. And like I said, this thing's handy to have, but you'll never ever use all these. But if you don't get one with all these in it, you may, this happens to be, I think that's Vermont V, I don't know. I don't know what company that is. VUS American Natch. But if you don't get one like this, it may leave out the ones that you actually need. So anyhow, this is my thoughts. This is what I do. You don't have to.